Hi, hello, and good evening. We are finally back with the Kyle Petty Show. I am so sorry for how I'm presented tonight. It is very cold and drafty in my bedroom, and I just wanted to wear something nice and warm and cozy. So sorry. I have so much to talk about tonight. I can't wait to get into it. Miguel's waiting, so let's just do it. All right. Thanks so much. All right. So here we are. Miguel is
Oh
here.
no,
Oh no,
you're like in slow motion. Is it me?
no, no. Is
I
it
was
fixed
hearing you
now? How
perfectly
did?
before. Now
No,
you're
don't
like a
do that.
really
Don't
deep
ever say
voice.
that.
Should I
No.
take these out?
I don't know. I don't know what you should do. People are excited about us. Now we don't hear anything.
Your voice is
Oh,
literally like this. It's very slow and yeah, I can't
that
understand
sounds
you.
really terrible. I mean, how is it now?
I can't really understand you. Oh no. We just
Oh
made
no!
it work.
Is it working for anyone else? Anyone watching? What do you think? Is it working? How are we doing? We're getting no responses. We got an early woo, and we got nothing else. We don't know how the tech is going. Oof.
Oh no.
Oh, we're getting
I'm
from the
not sure what to
audience
do.
that everything's fine. It sounds like it's you. Should we get rid of you? Sam
Should I
Shapiro.
leave and then
So she
join?
hears us both. All right. So why don't you leave and get yourself in order?
I'm gonna leave and then I'm gonna rejoin. Okay?
Okay. I'll be here. Oof. All right. So anyway, I've been away. All right. I committed to every other Thursday. That did not work. All right. We got COVID. We had a rough go. That kind of took some of my motivation away. I will say, even though Miguel's not here to hear this, so sorry. But part of what kind of got me back into this was the fact that Miguel and I have been talking about doing this for so long. So I hope he's able to make it back. It's like, I don't really know what we're going to do if he's not. But anyway, let me tell you about my COVID experiences. So obviously, I caught COVID right before Christmas, and we had a rough go. Actually, it wasn't really that rough. Oh wait, he's back.
Oh my
How are
gosh,
we doing
wait, talk.
now?
I hear you perfectly. I'm not
Oh,
gonna touch anything. We're
wonderful.
going. I'm not even
Okay.
kidding. You started and you sounded like this, and it was so slow, and I got nervous. But we're back.
I was very nervous too because I was like, if he doesn't come back, I don't really know what we're gonna do.
It's
That's
okay.
the only thing planned for the evening. No,
Uh,
so yeah, what I had said before you had left us was that like I had lost my motivation to do this whole thing because I caught the COVID. Um, but because we had been talking about this for so long, like I knew I had to come back to it, and I'm really, really so glad that it was you. It really like re-energized me, like to kind of do this whole thing. But while I had the COVID, oh by the way, Sam Shapiro said she had heard us fine.
okay, good. Hey
Yeah,
Sam, love you, girl.
yeah, that had happened before you left.
Great.
Yeah, so there's that. So we had a visitor during our COVID. Okay. Now I gotta tell you about my entire experience here because like it really is like rather wild. This would be
Ah,
more fun. This would be more fun in person, but this is the best that we have right now. So we had stayed up all night, like we were watching Australian Survivor. That was like our like COVID binge
okay.
show. Australian Survivor is leaps and bounds better than anything America put up. I'm so sorry, Jeff
I mean,
Probst.
as most things are, like we think we're like,
Oof. Oof.
you know,
You do we think that or are we just told that?
I think we're just like led by delusion
Yeah.
sometimes,
We're
you
led to
know?
believe that America does everything best. We may have done something first. It doesn't mean that we did it best.
Mm,
Just saying. So there's that. different, way different conversation. So, um, Australian Survivor, we
yeah.
loved it. Super fun. And we were up all night and like I'm eating my little Hershey's Kisses, like on the couch and everything. And all right. I don't want to be like too descriptive, like TMI or anything, but like I like to sleep naked. Okay, I like
Oh my
everything to
gosh,
be
me
free,
too. Are you kidding?
right?
That's the
Just
best
be like,
way. Yeah.
yes, just be super comfortable, like in everything. So obviously, I'm getting up to pee, and like I put one of like one of my old t-shirts on, like one of the ones like from like 600 pound me that like covers almost everything, like enough that if you ran into me in the middle of the night, it would be acceptable, but I really shouldn't be like this at 11 a.m. Like one of those outfits, right? So
Yeah.
I open up my bedroom door and I look at my spot on the couch and I see like little somethings. And I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. Like I always clean up my candy wrappers like before bed, right? I gotta get my candy wrappers out of here. So I go over there and I grab the little thing and I said, oh my goodness, this is mushy. Like, what is this? And I realized that there's another little spot, and I go to gather that, and I go to touch it, and I realize
Yeah.
it's a hole. Something had been nibbling on the couch, right? So I said, oh my God. And I'm thinking, like, I can't even stand here, right? I'm barefoot, my balls are out, and I'm like just
Yes. Don't
dancing around, like, I
pronounce it.
can't
Yeah.
stand, oh my God, there could be a mouse on the floor, right? So, like, running around. So I go, but like, I still had to pee, right? So I gather up the pieces of cushion and I throw it in the garbage and I pee and I get back in bed and I'm just laying there and my eyes are like just wide open. I'm just like,
Just thinking.
oh my God. Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like, this is still a problem in the morning. This is not one of those things that like you can just
Yes.
like fall
You can sleep
asleep
on
and like
it and
it
it's
just goes
gone.
away. Yeah, you can sleep
Yeah.
on it away. And like maybe it's just like a bad dream or something. Like, right? So I was like, oh my God, like what are we gonna do? So now it's like 6 in the morning, and I'm just like, okay. I can't just lay here and act like this isn't a thing, right? I have to run out to the store. I'm gonna get some stuff. So I go to the store. We needed some other things. Like we needed bread and like butter and like stuff like that. And obviously I got mouse traps, right? So I really want you to be able to picture this. Okay. So we got the fridge right here, right? So picture a refrigerator. And then there's like a counter like right next to it. And there's like obviously like the little coffee maker. Now
Yeah.
in between this on the counter is where we keep a loaf of bread, right? Fine. Whatever, fine. I come back in. Okay. Now the coffee maker is here. The bread is over here. And I found crumbs over here.
Oh
And
no.
I went, oh my God. I threw the groceries on the ground. I ran out of the house and I called my mother, which is obviously the worst thing to do. And I said to her, I said, Ma, I know you're probably the worst person to call in this moment. I said, but like, we have a visitor. Like, somebody's in the house. Somebody's nibbling on my bread and they ate my couch. I was like, what am I gonna
Um,
do? And like, so of course she starts telling me about her worst story about having a mouse in the house, and I'm just like, I don't
Mom, this
know.
isn't helping. Like that's
Right,
not
and
helping.
like, can we also, as an aside, why do people do that? When you call somebody and you're venting about like something terrible that's happening to you, like the very first thing that people want to do is share their worst experience with the same thing. And
I
it's like,
think
that is
maybe
literally not what I want to hear.
I think they're trying to show empathy and be like, I understand
I
why you feel
understand.
because
Yes.
I went
I
through
get
it
it because
too.
I
So
went
don't
through
worry
this.
about it.
Yeah.
But you're
Meanwhile,
making me worry.
yes, because now I'm thinking about like just mice running
Worst
rampant
case scenario.
around my apartment while I'm quarantined. Like this is like no good. Um, so I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have called you. I have to go. I have to take care of this. So I hang up. And I do run back in the house and I'm looking at it. I'm just like, I cannot deal with this by myself. Like I just know that I don't have it. So I shout out to my roommate. I'm just like, Thomas, you have to get up. I I I don't know what to tell you. You have to get up. I cannot do this
Did
like
he
by
know?
myself. No, he didn't know.
Oh,
This all
this so
happened.
surprised to him.
Right. I was experiencing this all by myself. I was flying solo with this crisis. So, long story short, too late. Um, we set mouse we set mouse traps and we never caught him.
Oh, I don't want to say it. So then is he still there?
Right. 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 And
I mean, like the vegan
this
in
is the
me is
problem.
happy that you didn't catch this mouse and like kill it. But I also can like I can empathize with that feeling of like fearing like a rodent like eating
Running
my
rampant.
things
I know. We have purposely left bread out to lure him.
and
He has
nothing.
not returned. The mouse traps are still there over a month later, untouched. We refreshed the peanut butter, but nothing. Um, so like I would like to believe that he's gone forever. But
you know
every
what?
time I sit on the couch, I'm like,
He's
I
gone.
know you were here.
No, no, no. You've just manifested him away.
I
Yeah,
hope,
gone.
and I hope this whole conversation just like sends him further away. Or maybe a stray cat got him.
Well, that's a
Like
stressful experience.
it was terrible. It was terrible, and
But you've grown from
that was my COVID. Get out of here, Steffi! No,
ah!
I'm not still here. No, don't say things like that. I cannot believe that. No, he's gone. He found his little friend, and they left. Or a stray cat, a feral cat,
He's
devoured him.
next door. He found someone else.
He's way gone. Maybe somehow he scurried upstairs and found like the upstairs tenant. Maybe he got
Exactly.
him.
Like they have better bread there. Like your bread was like, they have better bread.
My
You know,
bread is Stop and Shop brand. I do not buy Wonder. So it's very possible that he was not
just on a
impressed with.
budget.
Yeah, exactly. Spread on a budget. So maybe the mouse was not impressed.
Oh,
Fingers crossed. So that's what everybody missed. All right. So now you're literally caught up. Oh, and I got a new job. All right. That's boring. I got a new job. Yeah, I'm very happy. And like,
congratulations.
so that's that. So anyway, you're here.
I'm here.
And I'm so happy. How
I
are
am
you?
so happy too. I want to thank you for this because I know we like briefly talked about this months ago
Months.
and we finally did it. So
I'm
here we
so
are.
happy. I'm so happy. You kind of like re-energized me here.
Well, then I'm going to give you some more energy. I know this
Oh,
is your
give it.
podcast and I shouldn't take over, but I am going
You
to
should.
pick an intention card for our conversation. I pick them before
A
any show
surprise.
do anything. I pick one.
Okay.
So let's see. They're like miscellaneous. I'm just going to pick a random one in the pile.
I hope it's actually random.
Ooh, resilience. If y'all can see that.
Yes.
Resilience. Okay, let's let that guide us wherever it may lead.
Oh my.
Perfect.
Resilience. Should we speak on it?
If you'd like to.
Well, yes.
Or how about this? Let's play a
Oh
game.
boy.
Let's see if we can somehow get that word, use it further in our conversation. See if we can somehow bring it in.
And if not, we'll tie it in.
Okay.
So if we fail,
okay, yes.
we'll bring it in on our own. All right, I like it.
I have
faith. So resilience is the theme of the evening. That's what we're doing. However, the first question I have is something very silly. For those of us who don't know who Miguel is a phenomenal dancer, a fantastic actor, a wonderful singer. He is just performer extraordinaire. He is everything. He is the moment. And
that's
so happy that you're here.
That's a big statement.
I don't think it is. It might be a big statement, but like it's not inaccurate.
Well, it's a subjective stance, and I'm very honored that you hold that stance. And
well, this is the Kyle Petty show, so it is the stance. So that's that. That's the official stance of the show. So with that, I would like to know, what is the most useless talent that you have? As we talk about how talented you are. Oh, see, Steffi agrees. A star.
Steffi, thank you. I appreciate that. But honestly, I think this is not necessarily a talent you would think is like a talent, but it consumes so much of me in my life that it can't be good, and it is simply overthinking. I am the best at overthinking every situation, every scenario. I also love an assumption. I know assumptions are horrible, but like, I'm being honest.
I also love an assumption.
That's where my brain just goes. I love to like assume how a situation is going to work out. I love to assume how like a relationship is going to work out. But like, assumptions more often than not are completely inaccurate and disrupt any form of like connection or success or intimacy that you can like, I don't know. It's just misleading. And it's just always based on like my own personal experience, my own history, biases, experiences. And like, I just don't need it in my life anymore. But it's here. And I don't like it.
You know what? I hear that because, you know, I feel like a lot of those overthinking thoughts always go into something negative. And that's like the most unfortunate part of that. Yeah. Overthinking never leads to anything positive.
Absolutely. And I always tell myself, because I am like the king of like I love to think about how I think and like analyze why I think. Like that's just what, if you're wondering what I'm ever doing, it's probably me just like thinking about how I'm thinking. And like I always
I
realize
hear
when
you.
I'm overthinking, it's that like I'm not opening myself up at all to like the people or the situations around me. And like I'm constantly interfering. Like if I want, like you just need to let people show you how beautiful they are, or that they can care about you, or that they can love you, or like just let situations that you think are too good to be true, like just be enough for you. Like don't overthink it. Just let it happen,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But
I think we get in our way. We get in our own way a lot because like either we're not being receptive to love or we don't think we deserve it like for whatever reason.
because I think like it's scary to open yourself up to situations or to people where like you don't know the outcome. It's scary. It's like when you willingly open yourself up to something, you're also willingly opening yourself up to possibly hurt or disappointment.
Yeah.
But then you have to remind yourself like, okay, the possible reward for opening yourself up is often far greater than the risk of like being hurt or being disappointed. Like
Yeah.
what's the like good outcome that can come out of this? Like stop thinking about the negative outcome. Like, wait, something good might come out of this. If you just stopped overthinking and let it happen. You know?
We have to get out of our own way sometimes.
Oh
Yeah.
girl, I'm standing in my way all the time with a giant neon sign that says like beware. And like, why do I do that? I don't know.
I know.
Yeah. But that's my unfortunate, useless talent is my overthinking.
Which is not where I thought we were gonna go. I thought we were gonna get like armpit farts or like
I
something.
can do that. Yeah. But you
No,
know
that's
what?
not.
That's not useless. Someone might come up to me one day and be like, we need someone to make a fart noise. And I'll be like, I got you. I can do an
Well, the
armpit.
thing about what we just discussed though is that that's not useless either. It's not useless, especially when you're a little bit self-aware and you know like where these emotions and these thoughts are coming from. They're
Yeah.
actually not useless because you can kind of turn that into a positive. Um,
Absolutely. Like
yeah,
you have the self-awareness to think about how you're thinking. And sometimes you need to like not overanalyze the situation, but analyze it more than you normally would. So yeah, I actually agree. That could be a strength too.
yeah.
Wow.
And knowing that that can be a potential thought, I think arms you a little bit better in your relations with others. So when you are delivering news that may not be as positive, or you're having one of those rough conversations where we're being completely open and honest, you can be a little bit more delicate in those situations because you know how it can be perceived because you already overthought it in a different situation to yourself.
So it allows
Um,
you like the avenue of like, okay, how can I avoid
yeah,
the
it opens your
outcome?
mind a little bit. It makes you a little bit more aware that, like, oh, okay, somebody could be affected in this way. I don't want to do that. So, like, kind of grateful for the moment that I had that I was a little vulnerable. I was a
Oh
little
my
weak.
gosh, you're making me
You know,
feel so good about overthinking.
I mean, that's the positive spin. You're still
Right.
a lot of work to get there, and like to
You're
actually get to that point, and like that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, those are the pros that can come from it.
yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, it's just a very rocky road until we get there.
you're not wrong.
Yeah,
But
that's all.
I love that. Thank you.
Oh, you know what?
But
You're
what about you?
wonderful.
What's your useless talent? Because
Oh, I
you are a
wasn't really
very
prepared to
talented
answer
human
it.
as well.
Oh, my useless talent. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't say that I'm talented at all. But what is my useless talent? I my goodness. I did not prepare myself at all to answer my own question.
Okay.
This question was
But
for you.
that's
Um, I don't know. What can I do that's useless? Everything.
no.
Um, no, I got no, that's silly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a very good memory. Um,
Neither do
I,
I.
I know I'm trying to think of like what am I good at that's like useless. I mean, like I guess I'm a good singer, but that's not useless.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, I have absolutely no idea.
And
I don't
that's
have any odd talents. I don't have any like fun facts like that.
okay.
Um, this took a different turn than I expected. Okay,
No,
because that
you're
is why the next question is supposed to be: can you complete 10 revolutions of a hula hoop? because I thought we were gonna get into something silly, and this
Well,
got like, yeah, this got way deep. So
that's
like,
okay.
I don't have an answer. We just
Can
have to just
can
leave it
you do
there.
10 revolutions of a hula hoop? Is
I
that your
can't do
useless talent?
3.
Okay. Can you do one? Or maybe that's like your useless talent, like not being able to hula
Yeah,
hoop.
I guess, but it would one say that's a talent? Like when I think of a talent, I think of something that's like a pro, something that we can find a benefit to. There is
Girl,
really
have you seen like rhythmic gymnastics when they have like the
no.
hoops and the balls and the ribbons? Oh, it's a talent. It's a talent.
Now wait a minute, because I was a very good ribbon dancer. Okay. So
Yes.
maybe that's my useless talent because nobody cares. Oh, but maybe it's not useless. Maybe you're telling me
No,
now that somebody gives a
I
damn.
don't think
So
it's
maybe I
useless at
should.
all.
Are there like ribbon dancing like, training classes that I can take? A class?
Absolutely. I am
I can't
sure
hang
I
out tonight. I have ribbon dancing.
your next episode of the Kyle Petty show, I want a brief intermission of ribbon dancing. Put it
Like
to
you're
use.
laughing, but I'm definitely gonna Google this like when this is
Oh,
all over because I
absolutely.
would ribbon dance. I was fierce. Okay, when I hit the street with my ribbon, forget it. Forget it.
You'll be directing traffic with your ribbon dancing.
I absolutely will be. I'll be the coolest crossing guard you ever did see.
I love it. But back to the question, no, I
Yeah,
cannot hula hoop. I used to be able to hula hoop when I was a kid,
I'm
and then
surprised.
recently I was in a show and we had to like hula hoop, and I like couldn't keep the hoop up on like my hips, like no matter how much I tried. So we ended up just changing it to like hula hooping on our necks, and I was able to do that. But I cannot hula
So you
hoop
can
on my
hula hoop around
waist.
your neck, but you can't hula hoop around your waist.
Correct.
That's interesting. I
If
would
you don't
definitely
know,
think
you
it would be
know.
harder around the neck. Um, what
Just
show is this that it had to be deleted from?
it was Elf the musical. There was like a
I was
giant.
actually hoping it was On the Town from that circus scene. Like that, I was hoping that that
Oh
was like
my
a behind
god.
the scenes thing that
Oh,
I didn't know about.
you were Raja Bimi, right?
I was Raja Bimi.
Ah, I secretly wanted to be one of those girls in that number and just like give you my best. I wish I could have. Yeah,
It was a fun 2.5 minutes.
I was a
Like
police
my
officer.
big shining thing. Like, no, it was very fun. Definitely thought maybe you were hula hooping in that. Kind of disappointed to find that you were
Sorry.
not. Um, I don't remember it very well. It was a blur. Because as soon as I walked out, I was walking off. Like I don't remember who was there. And like who was
Well,
it?
it's okay. I was like hiding in the back. I was a police officer. I came out like I think I like blew my whistle and arrested like Bobby Peterson, which like that
Tweet.
was really it. But so I didn't do anything either.
You did a lot in that show. Get out of here. You danced your ass off in that show.
That was my first show, like where I really like danced. Cause like I grew up playing sports and everything, and I remember like out of high school after doing like two shows where like I really danced, I was like, I'm gonna like audition for On the Town. Don't know what I was thinking, don't know what I was getting myself into. And it's like a really big dance show. But I'm grateful
You
for
were
that experience because I
fantastic. Oh my
forced
gosh.
myself to learn. I like literally forced myself to learn.
You
So
were
I'm grateful.
amazing in that. So like that was when I first fell in love with you. So like I don't know what you're talking about. Like that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Aw. Wait, what sport did you play?
I grew up playing baseball, I swam,
Really?
and I ran cross country. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, you know what? Track doesn't surprise me.
She run.
Baseball. What did you
Yeah.
do? Like,
I played center field. I because I was like I
wow.
guess fast and good at running. But I got into it because my dad played in the minor leagues for the Mets for a brief
Oh,
moment,
really?
and then my brother was really into it. So I was kind of just like thrown into it. I loved it, but yeah, it just was not for me.
Oh, I guess not. I guess not. But good for you. Good for you. Spreading your wings out there.
You got to. You have
So
to.
silly. All right, so let's see here. We have a major conversation point
We do.
to go over. Um, I made a fun graphic for it.
Let's see.
Fun for the people who are actually watching. Those of us just listening, that's okay. You'll hear it. Um, so this was something that you had posted once on your story. And obviously it resonated enough with you that you archived it, which is why I wanted to get your insight on it. I wanted to know more about it. So, healing, growth, and the change you ultimately desire requires that you be alone. Most people have yet to seize and triumph over the battle of isolation. Um, so, I wanted to start with, why did you post it? Was this yours? Did you do this originally? And like, yeah, why did it resonate with you?
That was mine actually, and I
It
remember
was
spending
yours,
like
all yours.
I remember journaling about that, about like isolation and
Mhm,
like how much of a battle it is, and why I ended up writing it. Um, that was a really that was like at the start of the pandemic, like right around that time, I believe, where I posted that. And
mhm.
that was a rough time for all of us. We were all isolated.
Yes, it
But
was.
for me specifically, like right before the pandemic, I had come out as a proud gay man. But um, the my life took a very hard turn to the left that I was
Mhm,
not expecting. And it left me feeling very isolated and very alone. And I realized quickly that, like, oh, this is a battle that, like, in order to get to the other side of this, to heal, to grow, to change, whatever change I wanted, um, I had to win this battle over isolation. And I think that's mostly because, well, I guess I'll go into it, but when I came out, it was not the best experience ever. I came out in, I remember, March 25th, 2019. That was the day that I came out.
mhm,
And it did not go over well. And unfortunately, it led me to a lot of other experiences. I withdrew from school. I was in college at that time. Um, I didn't really have a relationship with my immediate family at all. And I was living
mhm.
with my partner at the time. So I was completely just like left on my own. Mostly because like my family was my, like, growing up, my family was everything. Like it was just my core group. I'm still like this. Like I'm not a very like open person with many people. Like I just don't willingly, like, I don't know. I have trust issues. So
I
my
get it.
family was
I
everything.
get it.
So like the second that I did not have them, I felt very isolated. I felt very alone, and that was a really tough time for me. But I think the reason why that was such a tough time is because feeling alone requires you to be vulnerable. And like in general, I think we struggle being vulnerable with other people, but I think we really struggle being vulnerable with ourselves because you're risking emotional exposure. Like we are taught that like if you share how you're feeling, if you say that like um I don't know, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, like those are not things that people like. I don't know, there's no like reward for saying that.
Mm,
So you're risking that emotional exposure, and it's scared. It takes so much courage to willingly lean into that uncertainty and say, I'm alone. Like, this is a vulnerable state that I'm in, and I need to work through this. And it really was like a vulnerable state for me to be in. Coming out was really tough because I remember I came out in 2019, March of 2019, and I remember I withdrew from school in October 2019, and then that was really tough for me because I had to withdraw from school because I just had no more like sense of stability. And going to school, I was really struggling with my grades, and that was never like me. And I said, Miguel, we really need to take care of me right now and put everything else on hold. And
mm,
so I did. And I just became increasingly depressed. And I guess I'm warning anyone right now, but I will be talking about like suicidal thoughts and feelings. So if that's not something you're in a place to hear about, I'm just warning you, but also
mm.
know that you can also always seek help, and people are always here to listen. But
Yeah.
quickly after I withdrew from school, I became really increasingly depressed and anxious, and I felt really suicidal. Mostly because um, I was just, and this is all like insight that I've received and like gotten after going to therapy and like being on the other side of this. Now I know how I was feeling, but it was all from a place of shame and feeling alone, and really just the shame that like I don't know, growing up, I was always told that like being gay or being different was wrong. And I didn't feel guilty about it because there's a difference between like shame and guilt. Like, agree with me, or like, am I wrong? Like,
No,
there's a
I do
difference
agree. I do
because
agree.
I think shame is like shame has a reflect is a reflection of yourself. You're saying like I am bad, I am shameful, like I am a bad person. Where
Mhm.
guilt is like a reflection of a behavior, being like, oh, I did something bad. So there's a difference, and I felt a lot of
Right.
shame, like I am a bad person because I'm gay, and that's wrong. And it drew me to a really hard place. And I remember I was really struggling with it. And one day I just said to my brother, like, I need help. I need you to take me to get help. And I hadn't spoken to him in like over a year.
Oh wow.
And I'm so grateful that he took me to get help. And I was hospitalized for um, a nice like solid week or so. I remember it was February 27th of 2020 to March 3rd of 2020. And that gave me so much time and space to be alone with myself in isolation. And that's a scary place to be alone with your thoughts. Like I mentioned before, like my useless talent is overthinking. And um, there's benefits, like you mentioned, to like thinking and analyzing things, but there's also
Mhm.
like a downfall to overthinking. And I really struggled. I really did. And there's, I don't know. I feel like I'm just on a tangent. Do you have like a question about like a guidepost?
No, it's really not. No, you're not on a tangent. I can totally like relate to this. I always thought that I wanted to live alone. That was always like very, very important to me. I want my space. I just want to be by myself. I don't want anybody bothering me. So I had moved out of my parents' house, and I moved in with a friend who became a good friend, but wasn't really a friend at the time. It was just like situational. Um, After that, I lived alone for almost 7 years, and the first couple of years are like fantastic. Like I was really like just living my life, and it was like really, really wonderful. And then there is there's something about being alone all the time that can like really, really be damaging to somebody who is not prepared like for it. Because in that isolation, you only have like your thoughts. You're alone with your thoughts and your thoughts only, and you have to always deal with them. And um, I had a hard time in high school, like not to go off on a total tangent
It's
here,
totally
but
a tangent.
yeah, but I had a really hard time in high school, and I remember my assistant principal saying, um, "I can always tell when something is not right with one of my children when their bedroom is a mess." Right, and that like resonated with me because I even see that now as an adult. When things are chaotic in my life, my bedroom looks like a mess. When I feel good about things, everything has a place and everything is where it's supposed to be, right? Um, and something my mother always said, like to kind of go in conjunction with this, is that sometimes we keep ourselves busy with a lot of different tasks and a lot of different activities and events and things because we are running from something. And I quickly realized that even though I was craving this alone time because I was overextending myself with these other commitments that I made for myself, once I removed those commitments and I was actually alone because I said, "Oh, this is the alone time that I feel like I need so badly." Now I realize I was alone with those thoughts, and I also tried to hurt myself, and that was a while ago. That was a good 5 years ago at this point. And that is really what prompted me to move out and then like live with Steve. Um, because I was in a rough place. So you're not going off on a tangent. Like I totally understand that. There's something about being alone and there's being alone and there's being isolated, I think. And being alone, I think, is the positive thing. Being isolated, whether it is by your own doing or by outside factors, that can be very like dangerous and like damaging to somebody who's not ready for it.
Because like that, the quote or the question or whatever I said, most people like haven't yet won that triumph or that battle with being like isolated.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that goes to like the feeling of wanting to belong and to fit in. I think that is a universal feeling that like we all crave, like we all want to belong.
Yeah.
Um, and I think actually I just picked up on there's a difference between belonging and just fitting in. Like when you belong somewhere, you belong because or you belong in that situation and you're allowed to be your true self because your true self is seen.
Yeah.
Versus
You being your
fitting in,
authentic self.
you're just like everyone else. Um,
Yeah.
and it requires so much courage and so much strength to share your most authentic and raw, sometimes broken, often healed version of yourself.
Yeah.
And to be accepted for that and that feeling of belonging as your own authentic, like the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that comes with you, being accepted and belonging for that, that's a comforting feeling versus
Yeah.
just fitting in. And I think growing up, like you mentioned in high school, like that's a tough time for everyone
Yes, it is.
because we try so hard to fit into places, fit into
And
groups
be what we think everyone else wants us to be.
versus just belonging. And that's like
Yeah.
a universal thing that we all go through. And everyone can relate to that. And
Yeah.
there's just that fear of like allowing the world to see you as you truly are. Like for some reason that's scary because like I mentioned before to like one of our first questions, I we came to the conclusion that like opening yourself up to things, you're also opening yourself up to like being unloved or being
Yeah.
or like not belonging. So it's scary to put yourself out there and to be vulnerable and to open up and say, this is who I am. Will you accept me? Like that's scary.
That's scary.
And people
Yeah.
do it because we long for that feeling of belonging, not fitting in, belonging as your true self.
Hmm. And so much of that comes from also like just being scared to share all of yourself because if somebody rejects that and doesn't kind of and doesn't accept that, then like where do we go from there?
Yeah.
It's like you don't always want to share all of yourself because I'm not going to be able to handle like if you reject that. Like it's so difficult to kind of find that confidence within yourself to say like, you know what, it really really doesn't matter um what other people think of me or what I'm doing or anything like that. It only matters like to me and mine. But it's such a weird thing because it's almost like you have to be your authentic self first and take some of that rejection to find the confidence and like the strength
The
to not
resilience.
care. The
The
resilience.
resilience.
There it is. There it
We did
is.
it. But yes, I completely agree
Thank
with you.
God, because I had forgotten about it. I had forgotten the game. I totally forgot, but there it is. Like, thank goodness.
We did it. Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
there it
ding.
is. There it is. To have the resilience to bounce back from a rejection, or at least a perceived like
Yeah,
rejection, because sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
we really are. And we don't allow ourselves to be seen completely as we are. And by not opening yourself up and allowing yourself to be seen, you're not opening yourself up to truly belonging, you know?
Yeah, you're not opening yourself up to truly being loved. How can you
And like,
really know that anyone is actually loving you unconditionally if they don't know all the conditions?
yeah, you are so right. And like, for me, that a lot of it was rooted in like masculinity and like this idea that we have in our culture, in our world of like what masculinity is.
Hmm.
And I really struggle with that. There's actually this book that I read by Justin Baldoni. He's one of the actors from Jane the Virgin. He has
Okay.
this book called Man Enough. Man Enough. I really recommend if anyone. I think it's really great for not only people who identify as a man, but also just anyone, so that we can all like understand this idea of masculinity and how it's woven into quite literally everything we do. Um, but for me, a lot of like my shame was rooted in like not being man enough. I
Mm,
think that just comes from like my culture and how I grew up. But
sure.
I remember after I had gotten out of um, being hospitalized and I finally was on track to like, I don't know, accepting myself. Um, in therapy, I had this one aha moment where my therapist said to me, like, because we were talking about how much shame I'm holding and like I'm not allowing myself to be seen as like my authentic self.
Hmm.
And she said to me one day, I remember, I'll never forget this. She said, "Why are you holding up this shield? This perceived shield that you have is really it's really just like a weight that is hurting yourself." And I
Hmm.
remember thinking like that makes so much sense because like we carry these shields thinking that it's going to protect us, but what we're actually doing is we're hurting ourselves by not allowing ourselves to be seen. It's like what you said before, where we get in our own way.
Yeah,
Like
and we're not
you
opening
think,
ourselves up to being loved.
yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, like back to the question of dealing with like isolation, a lot of that, like you have to be comfortable with yourself before you can present yourself to the world.
Right.
And a lot of that is done in like being alone and being isolated. And I think we all experience that during this pandemic of this forced isolation where we've been sitting with ourselves and saying, do I like what I do? Like, is this like just asking these questions? And it's an uncomfortable place to be. It is a vulnerable place to be. Um, but it's one of the best places to be because once you win that battle and that you triumph over
Mhm.
isolation, being alone in those thoughts, um, you can present yourself as you are to the world and find a place where you belong as your whole self, you know,
Mhm.
healed version of yourself.
And that's the scary thing too, though, isn't it? Because it's through that isolation that we have to face some of our like most darkest thoughts, like by ourselves. Um, it's just such a tricky thing. Like
But
one
here's the
one of
other
the
thing
things
too.
that can be the most rewarding is also the most scary, and like can often also like be the most dangerous.
But I was just about to say, like, here's the thing, like, we keep saying the word isolation, but that doesn't mean that you're like alone. When I say isolation, I mean like you feel alone with your thoughts, but you can work through those things with other people. Find people that you trust, people that you love, people who love you. And it's scary to be vulnerable and honest with people, but sit down and talk. There's this game, I love it so much. It's called We're Not Really Strangers. And it's literally just a card game where you pick up a card and you ask someone a question. And it's not like questions like, what's your favorite color? It's questions like, what's your biggest fear?
Mm.
And I think,
Just diving right in.
yeah,
This is the
especially,
game. What, you bust this out on Saturday nights?
no, I play this all the time. And I play
Oh
it with
my.
people that I'm not like, I play this with people that I want to get to know more. I think we have so many surface level relationships and like that's cute. I love that, but it's not for me.
Right.
I really want to get to know people. Like one of the biggest things that we can do is
Just grow
like look
together.
someone in the eye and say like I see you as a human being. I see your raw broken self and I also see your healed beautiful self. But you're not going to be able to see that person unless you ask these questions. I think we live so much on this like surface level where like we're all longing for that connection. But the only way to get there is diving deep. You have to. Truly.
Mhm.
You know?
No, you're right. I
So
agree
like
with
when I
that.
say isolation, I don't mean like you're alone. You just feel alone with your thoughts. But you can work through these things with people. You really can. A therapist, a friend, a loved one, me, reach out.
Just
And I, in all seriousness, like I am here for anyone who needs. And I think we all need to be that way because that's the only way we win that triumph with isolation. That's the only way I was able to do it when I felt so isolated. I reached out to those close to me. I reached out to a therapist. I
right, right.
That's how you triumph over the battle of isolation, truly.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I agree. I definitely struggle with that. I do not open up easily. I don't like that. It scares me. Very still scared of rejection. So no, I struggle with that. But I get it. I get it. It's right.
But I also think like it is scary. And I don't think it ever gets easier, but you have to, yeah, you just, it's like one of those things, it's like a band aid. You just gotta rip it off.
It's baby steps.
Baby steps, truly. But I
We'll
think
get
it's a
there.
beautiful way to like like in all seriousness, I think we all need to start connecting more, especially after this pandemic. Being isolated, like physically isolated from people, it's been nice that we've been able to find other avenues to connect with people. And
Absolutely.
one of those ways can be, I don't know, having these conversations with people and really like, not like when we ask people, like, oh, how are you doing? Like asking questions like that, but meaning it.
Yeah,
And
actually answer. And
yeah,
actually answer because it's also up to the other person to respond accordingly. Here in New York, we are very, very used to, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
good.
And it's like, sometimes I'm not fine.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, there's like certain places where, like, okay, I'm not
of
going to be like,
course.
you know what, I'm not fun. But, like,
Right.
especially
I'm
with
not going to say that
those,
to the person at Dollar Tree. Like, I'm not going to give it to them. But
but when you're
somebody who's
reaching out to your
genuinely
friends and
asking.
loved ones,
Yeah,
you should
absolutely.
genuinely have some concern and expect to not always hear, I'm fine, you know?
Right. That's fair.
So,
A lot of times I say to people like, "How are you?" And like, "Oh, I'm good." I'm like, "No, like, how are you?" And then
yeah.
like write R and like in all caps. Like I'm
That
really
game,
checking. I'm really checking in.
that game, We're Not Really Strangers, there's a card in there. I pulled it out one time and it says, how are you really? And I think we should start asking that, not how are you? Like, how
Yes.
are you really?
Yeah, because how are you is so part of a greeting. It's just part of the general vernacular. Like
Oh,
it's not really. I'm not really asking you how you are.
oh yeah.
Like
Like the solicited response is always just, I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm good. How are you? Yeah. Sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's not for everybody else to know, too. It doesn't mean you just run around here telling everybody your business. Like it's also not that. But
But it's important not to like numb those feelings when you feel them.
I love the fact that you use the word numb because we're moving into the next one.
Okay.
It's like perfect timing.
Okay,
So,
what did I do?
no, well, the other quote that you had shared
Oh,
that I had said I wanted to discuss was this one. So we numb to our detriment, and it's not sustainable. You can't selectively numb emotions. If you numb the edge off pain, you will also numb the edge off joy. All right. So, okay. Like this one really got me. And
yeah.
so, but first, where did this come from? Was this yours also?
So we numb to our detriment. It's not sustainable. We
Hmm.
selectively numb. I don't, I believe Brene Brown, she has like a chapter in one of her books, probably Daring Greatly, I believe, where she
Hmm.
talks about like you cannot selectively choose what emotions you want to feel. So I definitely probably got inspiration from her in that. And then
Okay.
I remember thinking like, ugh, I think I probably like you think of like chain smokers and stuff. It's like something that you just like numb the edge off. Like they always say like take the edge off or something. Or like
Hmm.
alcohol, people
Hmm.
say oh it just takes the edge off. And it's like okay, if you're taking the edge off of like these painful feelings that you're feeling, aren't you also taking the edge off of the joyful feelings that you could be feeling? Like
My goodness gracious. Yeah.
you're blocking your avenue to work through pain to find joy,
Hmm.
aren't you?
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. And that's why I wanted to talk about this because, you know, um, when I was going through one of my worst periods, like I was a very heavy drinker. Um, I absolutely abused alcohol. I would not say that I was not an alcoholic, but I guess I wasn't not one.
You were
Um,
just relying on it too much, maybe? It became a habit where you realized you weren't allowed
yeah,
to.
it was a daily activity that I didn't see any other way around.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't to the point that like oh, we would get the shakes. It wasn't a physical addiction, but it absolutely was like something I felt like I needed to get through the day. Um, to the point that I was at work and I was drinking. Um, yeah, and like, well, let me just bring it up again. I don't want to read it again. Yeah, it's interesting. All right, so where do we start with this? It's so
Well,
layered. It's so
well,
layered.
I
Um,
can I can
mm,
tell you that I also relate to that because I remember when I came out, tough time in my life, truly a tough time. I fell off the face of the earth.
mhm. You
And
did. You were
there
gone.
was a week, I remember. Um, as people know, like, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of those things just because I've
Mm,
always chose not to. It just didn't make me feel comfortable. I
right.
like I like having control, and those things make me feel like I don't have control. Um, but when I came out, I remember there was a week where I was so depressed. This was the week before I like reached out to my brother and I was like, I need help. Um, where I was drinking. I was finding like alcohol in a cabinet and like drinking it to try to go to bed
Mm,
and purposely trying to over consume um, as a way to numb the edge off of pain. Like all of these things, I think we rely on them too much. Like they're social lubricants. Like we think of like, oh, social drinking, but like, why do we need to like numb certain feelings? But we want to choose to feel other ones, but we want to numb certain ones. I think that's really unhealthy, not sustainable. And you need to, or at least I've learned from my own experience. All of this is just from my own experience. So,
right.
like, what do I know? But,
Well, you
like,
know things because you've been through things. So
yeah, but
no.
like,
Yeah.
you can't possibly, you can't selectively choose what feelings you want to feel. You're human. You're going to feel an array of emotions. And you need to work through all of them. That's the only sustainable way to like work through your emotions is working through each and every single one, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all
Mhm.
of them. And I think it comes down to like we all have needs and they're all pretty similar in life. Like I don't know, we all want joy, happiness, stability, fulfillment, fulfilling relationships, like love, belonging. Um, and it's only natural to avoid what is painful. But like I don't I don't know, do you relate to that? Like it's only natural to avoid what's painful. Like it just kind of feels like a natural response.
Of course. Um, that's always what I used alcohol for. Like, yes, we like to go out and we like to have a good time. Of course. There's a time and a place for alcohol. But it had gotten to a point where, so like the Magnum bottles of wine, like the
Mm-hmm.
large ones, right? I would call that a bottle, and like a regular bottle, I call that a half, right? Like this is how bad it was. So like it got to a point where every day I was drinking a bottle and a half of wine by myself. So we're looking at a Magnum and then like the little skinny one. The skinny one that you would bring to a friend's house and say, "Oh, I have a bottle of wine." That was like my sidecar. I wouldn't even bother pouring that in the glass. Like I would just sit in my chair. It was a big poofy green chair. I would sit back. I would make sure I would chill the small bottle. I have a process and a routine like for everything that I do because I like to everything to be the same every single time I do it.
Preach your
So
path.
yeah, I would buy a bottle and a half on the way home. That first bottle is what I would use ice in, and that second bottle I would put in the freezer. So by the time I finished the Magnum bottle, the sidecar was ready, and I wouldn't even pour that in a glass at that point. I would just sit back in my big poofy chair and set it up almost like a hamster water bottle and just like that's how ridiculous this had become. And that's when I was living alone. So we absolutely do use these things like to numb some of the pain, and but it's weird because it's so, especially alcohol, it's so melded into the fabric of what we do socially. Everything is around. Let's go have a drink. It's dinner and drinks.
That's
It's
why like
yeah,
I don't do things. I don't really go out because I'm uncomfortable around it.
yeah, you never did.
I've chosen a sober life and I choose to be that way. But
Hmm.
other people aren't necessarily respectful of that and don't know
Yeah,
that there's a boundary. Don't cross it. If I'm saying I choose not to do XYZ, don't force
please
it. Be
respect that.
respectful.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's unfortunate because like if there's like parties after shows, like an opening night party or something, like
you
I'll
want to
go
go.
show my face, but then I quickly leave because then it just turns into like it just makes me uncomfortable. It does, and it's unfortunate, but yeah, our society like revolves around numbing emotions with alcohol and other
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
And yeah, like back to the quote, like I don't see how you can numb certain emotions, but like but I want to feel the other ones. But like it's natural to want to grow and achieve and feel happy. But in order to do that, you have to tackle and befriend and understand why you're feeling pain. And
Hmm.
that's something that I learned because you have to lean into that pain and explore how it's manifested in you. And you need to acknowledge it, reclaim it, name it. Like sometimes we think like if we name a feeling, like, oh, I'm feeling, I don't know, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling disappointed. Sometimes we feel like we name the emotion, like it has power now because like now we know what it is. But no, you've named it, you've given like you've spoken language. Now language is like a universal thing. If we can name something, we can understand it. Because
And
you've
and
named
then we
it,
can
now you
manage it.
understand what it is. And now you have
Hmm.
power over it. You
Yes.
know? We have so much fear like, well, I don't want to know what it is. But like if you know what it is, then you know how to get around it or not even get around it, but work through it.
You know how to manage it. And that's something I've learned as I've gotten older and I've kind of like been more open with my emotions and kind of dealt with them properly. Well, more properly than before. I'm not going to say I've mastered this at all. But when you're honest about where you're coming from and I'm going to start that different. Um so interesting. Let's see. How do I want to start this? Being open and honest about what your emotions are allows you to manage them properly, right? So sometimes through that isolation, I feel can kind of come some clarity. And a lot of times, like these emotions that we're talking about, whether it's I'm feeling a little depressed today, I'm feeling a little jealous today, I'm feeling a little whatever it is today. Um, if you take the negativity away from it, an emotion is just an emotion. There should be no guilt associated with feeling an emotion. It's how we handle feeling that's where the guilt should come from. You should not be feeling bad because you have a certain feeling. Um, and we're so conditioned to believe that like, oh, I'm feeling depressed today. I really shouldn't talk about that. Like that, it's not something we talk about. We don't want to talk about that. And it's like, well, no, we should because that's how we manage better how we get out of it, you know? Um, which is kind of what I meant even like when I emailed you about like what I wanted to talk about tonight. It's like the more open you are about some of these emotions and stop viewing it as a negative, just view it as something that we just have to go through. Just like everyone has to deal with the stress of like taxes. Everyone has to deal with the stress of like, how many calories is this? Like when we're talking about our emotions, there's something out there that's like, oh, we can't talk about the negative effects of feeling this because like we're not supposed to feel this way. You know, like we put so much pressure on ourselves to not feel anything negative ever. And we should feel bad about ourselves because we feel bad. And that isn't what it should be. So some of that clarity even comes from being isolated and like just learning how to I don't know, like be one with your own emotions.
Yeah, I think one of the most beautiful things that like us as humans can do, we can think about the way that we think. We have that
Yes.
ability. And back to like naming it. Like I recently read this book. I posted on my story. I don't know if you saw it. It's called Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown.
Mm.
By the way, I love Brene Brown. I mentioned her before. Besides like therapy and Brene Brown, like both of those two things are like the reason why I'm like thriving, truly.
Well, give me
She
the name of the book again, like when we get off of this, and like we'll share it on the socials so people can like check
yeah.
it out too.
Atlas of the
Yeah.
Heart by Brene
Yeah.
Brown. We'll talk about it later though. But in that book, in her introduction, it's a really beautiful book because as the title suggests, Atlas of the Heart, it's a map of like all the emotions that we feel. And she talks about how we're conditioned to feel like if someone says, how do you feel? Like most people that she ends up collecting data from would say, I'm happy, I'm sad, or I'm angry. Like those are
Mhm.
the three emotions. But as humans, we feel so much more than that. I think she has like over 80 different emotions in the book. And it's literally just an atlas of all the emotions. She lists emotions, the good and the bad ones, and being able to um, speak an emotion and like put words to it, and like have the language to talk about it, and the awareness of it, what it is, how it manifested, and how to go about it, that can transform your life, truly. Like if you go through your day and you have the ability to think about how you're feeling, acknowledge your feelings, the good and the bad ones, work through them, and move on, like move through that pain without numbing it, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. I
Because,
love that.
like, I don't know. I think a lot of it, too, like, often pain that we feel, that we're often numbing, I think is related to feelings of grief. That was something that I dealt with
Mm.
a lot when I came out. And I think we sometimes only relate grief to, like, um, a passing of a loved one. We're like, oh, we're going through stages of grief. But like you can go through those stages of grief through like any unmet expectation. Like you're grieving something that you thought would happen but didn't. And that happened a lot with me when I came out. I thought it was going to go a certain
Mm.
way and it didn't. And I was grieving that. Like
Right.
there's those stages of grief. There's shock, there's like denial, anger. Uh, there's something before depression, I believe, and then there's acceptance. But we go through those all the time. Anytime there's like an
All the
unmet
time.
expectation, you're
Hmm.
grieving what you thought would happen.
That's so interesting.
And like you don't just, as people who go through grief after losing a loved one, they don't just move on. You go through each stage of grief, you move forward with it and eventually through it. It's not linear. It is not linear because you can be in shock, in denial, feel angry, and then be back in shock, and then feel like, before you ultimately get to acceptance. So we need to acknowledge that, like, moving through these emotions, it's not linear, it's not beautiful, it's not pretty. But what's at the end of the line is acceptance. Once you can accept the grief or accept what you wish you had, the failed expectation, whatever it is, once you can accept that, you're able to move through it. It's no longer holding you down. It's no longer holding you back. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges too, because in order to get to the part where you can accept that, um, you kind of have to go through all the different stages, right? Like
You do.
you need to be isolated. You need to be alone with some of those thoughts and some of those feelings so you can start to navigate a way through them. And then you do need your support system there because then you need to share it and you need to discuss it. And that kind of helps you own it. It becomes real once you say it out loud.
Yeah.
Um, and now hopefully you've confided in the right people that can actually support you proper and help you through it. Because it certainly is not a individual battle. It is, but it isn't. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, ugh,
Like you said, though, I think you really do need to just like name it, acknowledge the pain. Like, it is a grieving process. There's so many like expectations. That's like a whole nother conversation. But like, stop. I don't know. Do you want to get into it?
let's.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I'm like I said before, I'm the king of like overthinking and like
Hmm.
creating an image in my head of how something's gonna work out. And then when it doesn't, you grieve that expectation. You're upset. You're disappointed. You're sad. I don't know. But it's important to acknowledge why you felt that way. And oftentimes, like when things don't work out how you wanted, it's because you had an expectation and the situation didn't meet that. But I think it's so important to communicate those things. Like none of these things just like disappear. You have to communicate them. Like, okay, I started doing this thing with my
Hmm.
partner. I found it from Brené's book.
Okay.
She does it with her husband. And I want to start doing this with like most people in my life. It's called paint done. Paint, like paint, and then done.
Hmm. Paint.
Yes, paint done. So if you are planning something with someone, So I did this with my partner like a week ago. We were planning the day, and I said to him, paint done for me. Meaning, like, okay, we're planning our day. For me, paint an image of what done is for you. At the end of the day, when we're sleeping, paint an image of like all your expectations for the day. I want to know them. And this way, if we both can communicate our expectations, we can reality check one another and say, hold up.
That's not gonna happen.
Exactly. Exactly. But when you do
Yeah.
that and you communicate your expectations, people can reality check you and you can, I don't know, not create unrealistic expectations and you avoid these
You avoid this
negative
disappointment.
feelings. Yes, the
Yes.
disappointment or the anger that you hold towards someone else. Like if me and you are hanging out, right? And we're like, all right, we're gonna have dinner. Um, but you're like, tired. I don't know, maybe we did something beforehand and you're
Mhm.
tired. So you're sitting in the living room, you're watching a show. I'm over there chopping away, making a side salad. And in my head, I'm like getting upset because you're not helping me. And I'm like, what does he think? I'm like a maid or this or that. But
Mhm.
instead of like, I don't know, going crazy over it, I should turn to you and say, hey, I'm just feeling like a little overwhelmed or like overworked in the kitchen. Do you mind like helping me? Like I had this expectation, like we would do this together because I want to share this
Mhm.
experience together. Can I borrow your help? Like you just need to communicate,
Yeah.
truly.
I have truly learned that because I just assume that you know me so well, you should know exactly what I'm thinking. I shouldn't have to tell you. And if I have to tell you, that means you don't love me enough and we have a problem. And it's so ridiculous.
It really
Um,
is. But if you start doing that, like I really want to do this with like even my friends and my family. Like if we're planning something, be like, all right, paint an image of what done looks like. Paint done. I want to know.
mhm.
And then I'll tell you I'm gonna paint done for you on my side. And we'll create a mutual image of what to expect. And this
Yes.
way, we're all on the same page. No one's feelings get hurt.
No,
And we don't have
no,
to
there's
deal with
there's
those
no
negative
room for
feelings.
disappointment because we discussed it well ahead of time and we know it.
Correct.
And there's no reason to be emotional about it because we had such an open and honest conversation about it beforehand. Um,
Exactly.
I like that.
Right? I think it's
Paint
such a good
done.
tool that everyone should use.
Yeah.
Everyone start using it. Paint done.
Let's do it. Hashtag paint done.
Right?
I
I love
love it.
it.
No, I do love that. That's fantastic. I'm absolutely going to use that.
But that goes back to like what we were talking about. Like you can't you can't move through these negative, like you can't feel the positive emotions without moving through the negative ones and talking through them. And yeah, it all goes back to like, I don't know, the common theme that we just keep saying is like you have to acknowledge and like name whatever you're feeling and work through it, you know?
Yeah. I,
Because
I I don't know what the quote is, but there was something that had been said like some time ago. I don't know where it came from, but like your highs are only your highs because you've experienced some lows,
mhm,
and like if you haven't been down, you don't really understand
what it
like the
feels
joy
like,
of being up. Yeah.
correct.
Um
And
and
I think
that's the other side like to remember like in all of this, is that like yeah, things might get a little rough, but you know what? When things get good again, you're gonna appreciate it in a
they're gonna
different
feel
way,
good.
and it's gonna be so much sweeter than it ever was. You're gonna have a different appreciation for it. Um,
And that's
yeah,
hope.
it
That's
is
hope,
hope. It is hope. There's always hope.
truly. And I don't know. I really love that. I love when like I don't know, I think sometimes we forget that things aren't good all the time. They're not
Yeah,
supposed to
because
be.
TV tells us that it should be.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. We
Yeah,
do have like really bad examples.
we have
Um,
terrible examples.
yeah,
We have terrible examples. Everything is always correct when you watch TV. Um, any sitcom you watch, no matter what little bit of adversity they face, it will be solved within 22 minutes. Absolutely. No problem. That's not life. Every relationship is not perfect. Relationships take work. It doesn't matter if it's something intimate or if it's just a friendship. Relationships take a lot of work, and that's not what we see on TV. So then, because we don't see it, we're not properly exposed to it. So we think that if we have to work on something that we have, maybe this isn't right. Maybe I shouldn't be
maybe
doing
it's not for
this.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Up.
But
maybe this isn't I shouldn't be doing this. That's not the reality of the situation. Um, no,
I
not at
think you're
all.
so right. Every single relationship requires work, but we also forget even the relationship with yourself, it requires work,
It does.
right?
I never thought of it that way.
You do have a relationship with
But it
yourself
does. And
that
that's why that
requires,
isolation is positive
yeah,
if you can turn it into
that's a
one.
moment where you can do the work,
Yes.
and you
Which
only
is perfect because it does bring us to the next question.
it does.
It does. Because in that isolation, I would love to know, what do you love to do for me time?
Ugh, I love me time.
Me
I
time is the best.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it is.
I
It's
love
everything.
to cook. I really love to cook. It's actually like one
Really?
of my love languages.
Okay. Of
I know that's not like a love language, but like I think I get this
course
from
it
my
is.
mom. She always used to like she was honestly the best at this. Like every single night, she was a working mom. Shout out to working moms. Shout out to stay-at-home moms. It's tough to be a mom. But
Shout out to
every single
moms.
day,
Just shout out
yeah,
to moms.
yeah.
Moms are
But
the
every
best.
day, she would make sure that there was a meal on the table, a home cooked meal on the table.
Mm.
And that was her way of showing love. And she still does that. She like smothers me with food. I love that. But I think I've like caught on to that where like cooking with my mom always became a thing where like now if I cook for someone or I share a meal with you, excuse me, if I share a meal with you, that's my way of being like I I love you. Like
And I
I
value you.
appreciate and I acknowledge this relationship and I want to share this experience with you.
Hmm.
You know?
That's
So
so
I
nice.
love to cook. I also love a good face mask. Um, there's just something so therapeutic about it.
What's so
Truly.
funny? I was like, wait a minute.
No,
Some,
oh,
I was like, wait, what?
no, no, not like a
Okay.
medical COVID mask.
I
No,
was like, wow, that is the first time in an hour and 12 minutes that you lost me. Okay. Not on board. I mean, like, I'm not an anti-masker. Don't cancel me. Okay. Like, I do believe in wearing a
we
mask.
love masks. Wear your
Well,
mask
we don't love them. We don't love them. I would love to not wear it, but I will wear it as long
to
as
save a
keep
life.
everybody
Absolutely.
safe. Yes. If we need to, I'm going to do it. So don't try me.
But I will
But
always voluntarily do a nice like beauty face mask. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's just so therapeutic and so calming. And
ah, it is so
I
calming to an
also, oh my
engine
gosh,
face
there's so
mask.
many things I love. I also
What
love
else do you
movement.
love?
Girl, like getting a nice workout in, so
Mm.
good. Can immediately change my mood. Or just dancing, putting on music and dancing around the house. Love it. Like who doesn't love that?
And I love
You
that.
know? I think movement is so important. It's a nice like mind body connection.
Well,
Um,
I like dancing. I like all of that stuff. I don't like I never made it to your Zumba.
that's okay.
It's
Oh,
not okay.
it is okay.
I was really very sad because I really did want to do it. Are you going to do it again this summer?
I'm not sure. I don't really know where my life is leading me, but right now I'm actually in the middle of taking courses to become a personal certified trainer.
That
So that's
is
what we're up to.
so
So
very
we'll see
fitting.
if I have time for Zumba, but
All
that
right.
was
You
fun.
know, that actually could be more fun actually. Because,
But I
you know,
think like movement is so important.
it is, but we like the one-on-one, you know.
I do.
I don't need everybody seeing all my stuff jiggling all over the place.
Oh, stop it. I think there is like beauty and like the camaraderie though of like group workouts and
There
stuff.
is. There is, and that's what's nice about Zumba. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. But yeah, I just love movement. I think it's so important. I mean, like, if I'm having a crappy day, I'll just like put on music, do whatever I gotta do. Dance, work out, like do yoga. I really got into that. Um, just do I mean it doesn't replace therapy or like working through your emotions. You still
Right.
gotta do that. But it's a nice like boost of endorphins and
What's the
like
deal with yoga? Like,
what do
what's
you
the
mean?
actual deal?
What do you
Like,
mean? What's the deal? Is there something wrong? Do I not know?
no, I feel like I don't get it. Like,
Okay.
it's just people stretching. Like,
Mm. Okay, so like some people use it to like be limber and flexible,
mhm.
but Emily Sarah, you know Emily Sarah?
I do know Emily Sarah, and she's a
Beautiful
sweet
human being.
doll. It's so sweet.
Um, she is a yoga teacher actually. She's certified and she teaches.
Okay.
And I've been going to her classes a lot. I haven't recently because I've been like gone for like 7 months. I
Oops.
mean 6 or 5, I don't know, however long.
Sorry, Emily. We're coming
But
back.
but I was going all the time, like all every week. And it's really beautiful. I think yoga is a great tool that you can use where you have control over your breath and
Mhm.
you connect that to movement. And it's honestly really beautiful. Like, this is the other thing too. You get out of yoga whatever you need to get out of it. It can be a very like sacred space for some people. Like, a lot of people use it as a meditative practice, um, and some people just use it to stretch. But it is like a beautiful mind body connection where like you're also connected to your breath, and it can like it truly like transcends. Like, I don't know.
That's it.
It really, I don't know. The benefit,
No,
like,
I'm genuinely asking. I really, because I only see it on TV. It's only ever shown like in reality shows with people like arguing during yoga and then eventually being thrown out. Like I don't really know like what yoga is. I just see people stretching and there's music and that's.
well, there's also like the chakras that people have, and like one that like really resonates with me is my root and my sacral chakra. Um, it's amazing. There's this one pose. She's called the pigeon.
Okay.
Um, you know what? I
That
don't think
sounds
you look like.
terrible because I don't like birds.
There's no birds involved, but it's like a really great hip opener. It's a really great hip
Okay.
opener, and right near like your hips is like your sacral chakra, that area.
Hmm.
And there have been plenty of times where like I'm so like throughout a yoga practice, I'm so in tuned with my body and my emotions that stretching in that area opens up space, and I will literally start crying during a yoga practice because I hold so much like emotion there. A lot of people do actually.
All right.
Um, yeah, I really, I think
You're
yoga could
actually
be for everyone.
you're scaring me out of it. Where does Emily do it?
She teaches at a studio called the Well. Oh, I don't know if I should be like saying like I don't I
What do
don't
you
know.
mean?
I don't want to like give away like people's locate. I mean, it's not where she lives, but this is where she teaches. But I really
Well,
just
I'm
the
sure she'd
studio.
like some more students. No, this is like super. What is a speakeasy for yoga?
No, no. Okay, it's the Welcome Mat Studio in Islip, right off of
Oh,
Main
it's an
Street.
islip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, the owner is a beautiful person. Like, all the teachers there are so great, and I really can't wait to get back to class. But I think everyone should try it. You really should. And I really loved Emily's classes because, as you can tell from the beginning of this like episode, I love an intention. I love
Yes.
like focusing on something, and all of her classes start with like an intention that we're working towards, something to constantly think about throughout your practice. And I think it's so beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah,
So let's reach out to Emily.
I will. You know what? We'll go
Yeah,
together one day.
we should. We
Would
should.
you? Would you do it with me?
No, I would try it.
Yeah,
I'm down to try anything once.
I
I'm
love
not
that.
going to sit here and say that I'm very good. I'm not very limber. I can't stretch.
But that's not like the point of yoga. It's not to be like the most flexible person in the room. Like, yoga is
Mhm.
truly like such an individual thing. It's like an internal thing. Like, you see people stretching, you're like, who can get their leg up highest? But like, half the time the room is dark, people's eyes are closed,
The
and
room is dark.
yeah, it's dark. There's just
Oh,
like
it's
a
not like that on TV.
once again, we can't rely on these
Well,
images
they
that
tell me
we
that it's reality. What am I supposed to rely on? If it's
um,
an experience I've never had, that's the only experience I've had. You
you're not
know, so
wrong.
like, yeah, very tricky, very tricky.
You're not
That's
wrong.
for a different episode too. That's like another commentary
Ugh,
that one
there's
can
just so
make.
much. But yeah, I actually really recommend it, and I love the fact that she uses intentions to like guide you. I think I think intentions are so good. I love them. People are probably bored with me, but I'm like the intention guy.
I
Before
don't
every
think
single
so.
show that I do, I pull a card. I'll post it on my story every single day if I want to, if it resonates with me. I think
I
it's
think it's
just,
wonderful.
I think it's a quick way for me to like remind myself, like, get out of your head, Miguel.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, like, ugh, just I don't know. I love it. I think we all need to be like better at, I don't know, reminding ourselves that like it's okay, it's going to be okay. And intentions really like help me do that. Like there's nothing, one of my biggest intention, it's like my intention in life actually, because it's tattooed on my leg. I'm wearing pants right now, but I would show you. But it's surrender.
Mm.
Surrender. I think, at least from my own experiences in my life, I've learned that if I surrender to each moment, I will be able to, I can reap the benefits of what that moment is offering me versus
Right.
trying to force feed something or trying to find something that's not there. Just surrender to the moment, see where it leads you. And that's like my life intention. Do you have an intention or like a mantra that you kind of live by?
I guess not. I guess I just want to
You
just
don't have to.
no, no. I guess I just really just look to just put the best out there, like for everyone. Um, I want my journey to not be for nothing. Um, like I
I
had
get
said to you before, like we're put through so many different things in life, and I don't think it's just for us. It's for us to learn a lesson, but I think it's for us to share with others. So that other people can learn something too. I don't think that we are put through what we're put through to keep to ourselves. Um, it's for sharing. It's for everyone's growth.
I love that.
If you can bring yourself to share it, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh. That's a great, like, you know how sometimes you ask yourself when things are happening in your life, like, why is this happening?
yeah,
That's a great, that's a great, like, explanation for some of, a lot of it, actually.
yeah. I genuinely believe that sometimes the things that I am put through was not for me. I think that, and I wouldn't say this as like a useless talent because I don't think it's useless, but I do think that um, I do believe that I've been blessed with the opportunity to have a little project like this that a couple of people pay attention to, that I can share some of my story and some of my experiences with, so that other people can listen to it and hopefully get something from it. Um, and I think that that's why we've been blessed with the ability, like, to share the way that we are. Um, because there might be somebody listening to it or somebody who watching it or anything that like has not been vocal about their struggle that maybe needed to hear it. Um, yeah, and I think that's why a lot of us are put through what we're put through.
I agree. And I think we also live in this world of, like, social media where we're, like, driven by, like, how many followers do I have? How many people are watching what I do? And, like,
Hmm.
we, we equate, like, if it's worth it to, like, the number attached to it. But like at the end of the day, if you're helping one person, that's one person. And then if that person that you've helped helps another person, that's two people. And it's just a ripple effect. Like
Yes.
sometimes the like we can throw out our cast, but we don't see how many people it affects. But know that it manifests through people
Yeah.
and it multiplies. You know?
And so often, like even the things that we say, we may not actually know how that affected that person or who it might affect later. But oftentimes I feel like a seed has been planted. I think about myself and my own like personal experiences with that. And sometimes somebody will say something and it'll just kind of stick with me and like be in the back of my head like for some time. And I'm like, you know what? And then years later, I remember that so and so said this. I know what they meant now. Um, I get it. And now I'm going to act on it. I'd like to believe that sometimes some of the things that I've been through may not immediately, and my sharing of it may not immediately affect this person, but it was planting a seed. And we'll see what happens later on. I may not get to see it, but hopefully that was a blessing for somebody else. Um,
Believe that. I truly believe that like there is it's one of my tattoos. I have a tattoo right here. It says there's a reason behind.
mm,
Um and I think that is so true. Like
mm,
I purposely have it facing me so I can see it every single day, knowing that like there's so many times where like you don't know why this happened, why you're going through this or but having that hope and knowing that there's something greater than you there, like, that's that's really cool, and
It's
that's really comforting.
tremendous.
And
Mhm.
sometimes we don't know those reasons or why things happen until later, like,
Right.
it might be weeks, months, years that we know why something happened to us, but I
And we
truly
never
believe
and
it's
we
for a
may
reason.
never get to know. Like,
But you have to
that's the
be
other side to that too.
oh wow. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like you have to be okay with that and know that, yeah, I loved what you said before, that like you don't sometimes the things that happen to you um, aren't necessarily for you to learn, but for other people to also witness and share that
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah. And it's for you to share so that other people, yeah, can hear it.
And I think,
Whether it's somebody's watching it happen to you in real time or they heard that it happened to you and now they're seeing what you are like now after the fact. All is equally powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was I was talking to my partner recently, and I was saying I read this book recently. It's called The Velvet Rage. I finished it like 2 weeks ago, and it was a beautiful book about like growing up gay in a straight world, and dealing with that shame and that trauma. I thought it was a beautiful book, but I didn't necessarily relate to it because the targeted person that they were talking to wasn't necessarily me. I felt some of the feelings, but I didn't share many of the experiences.
Mm.
And I remember talking to my partner about it and saying that, like, this book made me recognize that all the, excuse my language, I don't like to curse, all the crap and hell that, like, I went through. That's
That's
not.
not that is not cursing, my sweet dear.
She's an innocent,
I was like, "Oh, she's about
demure.
to give us the F bomb."
No, no. But yeah, like all the crap and all the hell that I felt that I was going through, I now have that knowledge and that experience outside of this book because I didn't really share this experience that other gay men had in this book.
Mm,
And I said to him, like, it made me realize that, like, maybe all of that, the reason for all of that was that someone else who shares, like, a very similar experience to me, I can relate to them on some point. And, like, I would love nothing more than one day to, like, mentor or, like, just
mm.
guide someone who is struggling with their sexuality or trying to figure it out. I would love nothing more than to like mentor someone like that and be an example of like things get tough. They really do. But
Things also
here are
get
the
better.
tools that I've learned. Here's how I got through things, and use me as an example that like you can have a meaningful relationship. You can find joy in your life still. Like you can like I don't know. I think it's
But you're
something
already
that
doing
needs
that just
to
by
be
living your
knows.
life the way that you are. Like, that's what's so beautiful about that concept. Like, you're already doing that.
Yeah. But I think it's
Whether
so
you
important that we all do that. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we all think that like, oh well, my story is like different. No one really relates to it. But like,
everyone does.
yeah. Or even when it came to like, I remember when I was talking to some of my close friends, like female identifying, like cisgendered, um, about like me coming out and those feelings that I were feeling. They didn't
Mm,
necessarily relate to like the situations and what happened,
mm.
but the feelings of like shame and like belonging and even feelings of loneliness and isolation and like
That's
people
universal.
can exactly
Yeah.
ex-
There's always something that someone can get from our story. Even if they don't relate 100%, there's always something that someone can get from it.
I agree. I
Yeah,
really do. I think that's yeah, it's beautiful. I really do think so.
I love it. Um, with that, I have some music to play.
You do?
I do. So I stumbled upon this guy, Jason Channel. Um, I found him because my friend Joe, who was in the Heights with me years ago at CM, had shared this video, and I had saw like a little clip of it, and I was like, "What is this? This looks a little goofy." I
Uh,
was like, "I'll watch it," and I watched it. It's like, Nah, actually,
I love
actually, I like this. Yeah, I actually and really liking it, and actually had a whole conversation with the guy. He's actually really really cool. He's going to be on the show the next time, so we get to talk about this video that he made, and then some. But I'm really excited to share it with everyone. His name is Jason Channel. You can find him on Instagram as such. Jason Channel with a little underscore underneath, like at the end, like very strange. We'll talk to him about his branding. But
Stop.
we'll get to that next time. But I do have his video. This video is walking on a sunshine, and I thought it was really fun, really creative. Um, so I'll play that for you, and then we'll give our final thoughts, and I guess
Okay.
say goodbye. But yeah, here's Jason Channel. So I hope people enjoy this.
Cause I'm walking on the sunshine, yeah. It's feeling like a moonlight, yeah. Just how I envision a warrior trying to glisten, the story of his ambition. I was coming out swinging and dishing, I'm on a mission to the starlight. Used to sit here wishing, now I'm moving with the moon tides. Crazy how the skies feel, crazy how amazing all these feelings that we dealing are just so real. Just like that, we gonna bring it back. What you know about that? The soul is still intact, homie. Yeah, this is the finest, we gliding right through the struggle. No matter the scene of trouble, I'm always up on the double. They wanted to see me stumble, but that don't change anything. This is really who I am, so I could do anything. If I put my mind to it, then I can really just become. Everything is groovy and I'm feeling like I'm on the sun, on the run. Can't complain, it's a good life, good times. This a toast to the good life. At the end we're pushing with the force, climbing all these mountains, wondering what's on the other side. I had to see it. I'm zooming, I'm soaring, I'm flowing away now. Loving the movement, I'm feeling the highest, okay now. Let's just get it right, keep the nonsense minimized. If they ever doubted, then they never knew that we could fly. Started as a hobby, chilling and just writing lyrics. Never thought I'd do much more, but here I am, just making visions. Sometimes I be thinking, what is life, but who I am to judge it. All I gotta say is life is good, let's keep it coming.
Oh, he's silly. He's a very silly man. But I thoroughly enjoy him.
Whoever whoever
What's that?
edits that and like puts his videos together, whether he does or someone else, kudos to them. Like visually incredible.
Right, like really fun and like really different, and like I like genuinely enjoyed that. So I can't wait to talk to him next time. Just find out more about it. Like, yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. I was like, what is this guy with these random things on like a fishing pole or something? And then like, but the more I watched it, I was like, no, I'm actually kind of getting into this. I was like, I really like this. Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk to him next time. It's gonna be fun. Do you have anything that you want to add? This was really, really nice.
I have two things. I have a question for you, and then
a question.
And then I just have something to say, which I'll just say really quick. We talked about some serious issues today, and I want people to know that if you're feeling alone or you need help, there's always help. Reach out to a loved one. We talked a lot about suicide today, or at least I did a little bit. There's always the suicide prevention lifeline. There's the National Association for Suicide Prevention. There's also the Trevor Project. There are so many outlets and resources that you can go to and know that there always is help. There always is. And yeah.
Let's share some of those we'll share them on our socials tomorrow too. Yeah, just put that out there.
And then I just have a question for you.
Your question for me.
Yeah, I do. You could also turn it on me, but I randomly just thought about this question before we went on live.
All right.
Because we've been through so much, like all of us, not just you and I, but like the world. This
Mhm.
pandemic has really thrown itself at us.
It's tried
Like,
us.
yeah, but it's okay. We're gonna win. We're gonna come
It
out on
is
the other
okay.
side of this. Like, how do you hope, or what do you wish for people as they re-enter the world, the new world?
I hope that and I have to be honest with you. A lot of my hope has kind of been dashed because like there's just been so much that's been going on lately. I really don't feel super good about things going forward. But I'm kind of hoping that when this is actually over, not not reflective of where we are now, but where we could possibly be when this is over. I guess like I kind of hope that we have a heightened sense of caring for one another. I've been very discouraged by the way people respond to face masks and things like that. Um, None of us want to wear it, but it's for the common good. Like there was a tweet I had retweeted it some time ago, but I don't remember what it was verbatim. But it was basically like, even if COVID ended today, I don't know how I can get past years, basically 2 years of people just not caring about the other people in their community and their society, and like that's I'm definitely battling with that. Like, how do you come back from this? If this all stopped immediately, it doesn't change the fact that there were so many people who were not willing to wear a mask. Um, Even if it came out that like it was not useful, it didn't matter. Isn't just a chance that it could prevent someone from being deathly ill, isn't that enough to be slightly uncomfortable for a little while wearing a piece of fabric on your face? Like,
Some compassion.
yeah. So I'm hoping that that'll turn and that, or at least more people will realize, no, maybe not realize, but just take less selfish actions.
Yeah,
Think
the
about
only
things
way
a little
through
bit
this
more.
is together.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only way through this.
I guess that's my only that's my hope, that people act more. The rallying that I saw as a country when 9/11 happened, I wish we would have seen that with COVID-19, and I kind of hope that we get back to a place where that happens.
Yeah.
That's all. Maybe people just act more like a community.
I love that.
What about for you?
Oof. How do I wish people would re-enter into the world? I think with a lot of compassion, like I mentioned before, I hope that this time of isolation we learn that regardless of like social media and how connected we can be, we are so disconnected as humans and as people. And I hope that people start having like real meaningful interactions with people. This is reminding me of, I remember I read a book. I think I have it. I read a book. Oh no, I don't remember. It was definitely by Brene Brown. This girl, this woman, she's
You love
incredible.
her. You
I
love
really
her.
do. She has like really the research that she does and the knowledge that she has is like beautiful. It's really changed my life. But she has this like manifesto for parenting, like a parenting manifesto. And I remember when I read this, I was like, this is so much more than just for parents. This is just like for humans. And I remember when I read this, I like cried in like 2019. I reread the book, and this was before the pandemic. And I think it actually like, do I have the book? There's probably like a post-it. Give me a hot second. Ah!
He has it. He has the book.
I have
We'll
the
wait.
book. I have the book. I have the book. Here it is. Okay. There's probably a post-it. I folded the page or something. But there's this parenting manifesto, or maybe it's in the. Oh. Yeah. Oh, can I read this? I hope it
Of
relates. Like, I
course you
really can't
can.
remember it in its entirety, but I think
Oh,
this
look,
is.
Erica said the Wholehearted Parenting Manifesto.
Yeah, it's from Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, by the way. If you're reading along with me, it's on page 244. Thanks. But I'm going to read it. I think it's really beautiful.
Read it.
The Wholehearted Parenting Manifesto, but I think this is just for like everyone and everything. Above all else, I want you to know that you are loved and lovable. You will learn this from my words and my actions. The lessons on love are in how I treat you and how I treat myself. I want to engage with the world from a place of worthiness. You will learn that you are worthy of love, belonging, and joy every time you see me practice self-compassion and embrace your own imperfections. We will practice courage in our family by showing up, letting ourselves be seen, and honoring vulnerability. We will share our stories of struggle and strength. There will always be room in our homes for both. We will teach you compassion by practicing compassion with ourselves first, then with each other. We will set and respect boundaries. We will honor hard work, hope, and perseverance. Rest and play will be family values, as well as family practices. You will learn accountability and respect by watching me make mistakes and make amends, and by watching how I ask for what I need and talk about how I feel. I want you to know joy, so together we will practice gratitude. I want you to feel joy, so together we will learn how to be vulnerable. When uncertainty and scarcity visit, you will be able to draw from the spirit that is part of our everyday life. Together, we will cry and face fear and grief. I want to take away your pain, but instead I will sit with you and teach you how to feel it. We will laugh and sing and dance and create. We will always have permission to be ourselves with each other. No matter what, you will always belong here. As you begin your wholehearted journey, the greatest gift that I can give you is to live and love with your whole heart and to dare greatly. I will not teach or love or show you anything perfectly, but I will let you see me, and I will always hold sacred the gift of seeing you. Truly, deeply seeing you. That's our Wholehearted Parenting Manifesto. And I
Wow.
just think that's beautiful as like, I think this is how we should all live and just,
That's
acknowledge each
beautiful.
other, see
That's
each
beautiful
other,
for so
be
many different
vulnerable.
reasons.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ugh, I'm glad I
Mm.
found that. Wow. And I think
I'm
that
so
beautifully,
happy you read that.
I think that beautifully relates to like everything that we talked about
Yeah.
being vulnerable, about letting yourself be seen, about, um, yeah, all of it. That is how I wish we all were to live and re-enter the world. Truly.
Mhm. Well, thank you for sharing that. Um, Even Erica said, like, I love that, Miguel. It's the honoring vulnerability and practicing compassion that gets me. And of course, laugh, sing, dance, and create. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's so beautiful. Life is short.
it is. What a lovely note to end on. Wow. Um, well, thank you, Jason Channel, for sharing that with us. Can't wait to chat with you. Thank you, Miguel, for doing this. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, this was very, very special. And it's actually more special than I thought it was going to be. I can't wait to watch this back. Um, yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank you so much. And thank you
Yeah.
for like being you. I want you
Oh,
to know that. Like you are such a light. And I know that sometimes we like put on like a persona and we like force ourselves to be happy. Um and like you are just always happy and you always just radiate love and kindness and you genuinely care about people. You've cared about me the amount of times you just reach out just to say, hey, love you, thinking about you.
always.
It means more than you know. And
Mm.
I'm sure that many people can attest to that. and what you're doing is incredible. And like you said, if you reach one person and you help them out, like you've done your job. And I think you're doing your job.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being a part of that then. Um this is really special. And I can't wait for more people to see it. I can't wait to share it with more people. And thank you. Um I definitely believe that you are equally special. I couldn't wait to do this with you. Um I knew that when I started to spin this off from what it was before, because the Kyle Petty show has seen many different iterations over the past year.
As we all
Um,
do.
yeah, yeah, and who knows what it'll go back to? Like I'm not completely sure this is the end product for this. This is just where we are now, But I'm so glad you were part of it. I knew when I was planning it that I wanted you to be, and I'm really happy that it happened. I'm so grateful you shared tonight with me, and you shared so much of yourself. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that's all we can do is just share parts of ourselves and connect. And
Yeah.
I adore you. Thank you so much for this. I had the best time. I will never forget this moment, sharing this moment with
Oh,
you.
thank
And I
you.
can't share more.
I'll never forget it too, and I can't wait to have another moment like this with you. We have to come back. There's so many more things to discuss.
I mean, we got
Um,
very deep today. I'm all
it
about talking
did.
about, like, you know what I really want to get into? I'm sorry, we can end this soon, but like,
No.
I always see you doing your Big Brother things. I really want to get
Yes.
into it. I've never seen Big Brother or like I don't know the world.
I'm
And
so happy you're saying this because
oh no, what did I
on
start?
Wednesday, no, on Wednesday, we are being blessed with Celebrity Big Brother 3. And it is the perfect time for you to come into it because, Big Brother is a 2 to 3 month commitment. It's on
Okay.
3 times a week. It's a very big deal. And we dive all in. Okay. But Celebrity Big Brother is 1 month only.
Oh, I could do that. See, I
Yes,
have
it's the
commitment
perfect time
issues.
for you to just dip your feet
Yes.
in, see
I
if
have
you like
commitment
it.
issues, but 1 month I could do it. I could
It's
do it.
1 month. It's 1 month. Todrick Hall is on.
Oh, really?
Yes, we're so excited.
Come on.
We're so
Wow.
excited. I mean, the cast was just announced yesterday. I don't remember much else other than Todrick. Oh wait, Carson Kressley from Drag
Oh,
Race.
oh yeah. And Queer
Yes,
Eye, right?
and
The original?
people say from Queer Eye. I didn't watch that. At
He was
Big
on the
Brother.
old one.
Yeah,
He was
there's
on
like
the
a
old one.
housewife on there too.
Okay.
Lamar Odom will be on there.
Really?
Yeah. This season should be a hoot. And it
Okay.
starts February 2nd.
Are you
Um,
doing your podcast like reacting to it?
yes, we are. Yes, we
Okay, so
are.
you can take my word. I am going to start watching Big Brother season 3, House Celebrity, whatever it's called.
Yes, Celebrity Big Brother 3.
3. And I'm going to make sure that I hit you up and I'm commenting on your stuff and I'm involved. I'm gonna do it.
Yes, come on. You should come on that podcast too, and we'll chat about it. Yeah, especially because like you're a newbie. We would love to get your opinion
My
because like
insight.
we're only talking to like crazy Big Brother people. Okay, like like the crazy Big Brother heads. So like it'd be really really fun to talk to somebody who is new to the world. Yeah, you're totally welcome to come on jury duty anytime you want.
Oh, she's called Jerry Duty.
Yes, and it's called jury duty because, like, real quick, the winner of Big Brother is always decided by a jury, and it's decided by people who were evicted from the house, right? So the people that you threw out of the house are the ones who are deciding who wins.
Wow.
Yeah, very fun, very
That's a
fun.
lot
We'll
of
talk.
power for
Oh,
someone who's been eliminated.
Miguel is so delicious. Like it's so delicious. And we can talk about it more offline because people are probably
Yeah.
so sick of me and my Big Brother stuff. But yeah, it's really, really fun. That's why we call ourselves Jury Duty because we're judging all season long.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm
Really,
in.
really
I'm in.
fun.
I'm in.
Yeah, no, you gotta join us. You have to join us. But yeah, it starts February 2nd.
February 2nd. Perfect.
It's a big commitment, but I swear it's worth it.
We can do it. Si se puede. Let's go.
Yes, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And with that, thank you all for joining us tonight. This ended up a little longer than I expected, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was perfect. I loved every single minute. So thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for those who participated live, and we'll get up with you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.